This is Lesson 6 of the Hermetic Qabalah course. Today we're going to touch on the topic of the Qlippoth. Qlippoth means shells, husks, or peels. In our understanding of the Tree of Life, all of the spheres are seen as fruits that we must consume on our journey. The consumption of these fruits is what brings us the enlightenment that we require in order to wake up. This is how we return home. And in reality, we're not returning anywhere. We are simply awakening and realizing that we never really left home in the first place. It's similar to how Dorothy at the end of the movie The Wizard of Oz awakens. Think about nuts and fruits of this world. They all have their peels and shells and husks. And for most of those fruits and nuts, we have to get through the peels first. We have to get through them in order to consume the fruit. You wouldn't want to just bite into a banana without peeling it first. You don't want to bite into an orange without peeling it first. And you definitely don't want to bite into a walnut without first breaking its shell. And the fruits on the Tree of Life have hard shells that are protecting the fruits. You can look at the shells and the husks as being, quote, demons. Demon is such a loaded word. The human imagination has taken the idea of demons and really gone to town with it. Now, if you like the idea of demonology and all of that, you can find many teachers that will take you down a long road into the Qlippoth. There are whole traditions based on this. I'm not trying to get in anybody's way here, and you should do your thing. Everything has its value. But it's important to understand that this idea of the Qlippoth is very different from the one we are speaking of here. Many people believe that the Qlippoth have their own tree. And from our point of view, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We wouldn't look for trees that have only the shells and peels, and then other trees that have the fruits. The fruits that are growing on our tree are manifold, and those fruits have their own shells. Those shells are things within ourselves that we need to let go of. You can look at the idea of these shells or Qlippoth as being bits of our own ego, attachments, and unhealthy thinking that tie us to the illusions of this world, and that when we break through those shells, we can be released from the illusion. Wherever literature touches upon theology or the occult, we tend to find references to both a heavenly hierarchy and an infernal hierarchy. This suggests that the Creator has allowed the forces of hell and heaven to oppose one another, battling endlessly for human souls. And this notion is such a widely accepted interpretation both by religious people and occultists. And this explains this never-ending belief in the devil and his minions and the supposed ongoing war in heaven between good and evil. Despite references to the angels of darkness having been opposed and beaten by the forces of light, are we to assume that the so-called battle of the angels that was once fought and lost by the dark side continues to this day? Is it not naive to consider that if such a battle actually occurred, that it wasn't already conclusively settled then and there? This legend of a war between light and darkness is actually an allegory for the solar myth. The forces of light are represented by the sun's birth in Aries, marking the start of the spring and the longer daylight hours, giving way then to the, quote, fall of the sun in Libra during autumn and the rule of winter with its longer nights and the weaker daytime. These are very old myths making sense of the sun and its journey through the year. The word hierarchy is derived from the Greek hieros, meaning sacred, and archo, meaning ruling. So hierarchy actually means the ruling of sacred things. An infernal hierarchy is a contradiction in terms, since infernal implies anti-heavenly. Similarly, the angels of darkness and of light is also a contradiction in terms. Angel means messenger of God. If there are so-called evil angels, what messages from God are they carrying? The truth is that a good force, when misapplied, can become destructive. The sun can destroy through withering and burning, Anybody that's ever been lost in the desert will know that the sun has definitely some destructive abilities. When nuclear energy is misused, such as in nuclear weapons, it can reverse creation, leading to destruction. The ancients recognized this dual force, and to try to explain it, they created simple and memorable stories and myths. It was much easier to invent tales like the fall of angels and a war in heaven than to explain why an angel, a divine being, might have a destructive side. These stories resonated because they reflected familiar human nature rebellion against authority. Thus, the ancients reasoned that the angels could also rebel against God. But bear in mind that the war in heaven really is nothing more than stories to describe the solar cycle and the seasons. Mankind has always feared darkness. In it, we feel helpless, and so the negative side of our imagination runs wild. Out of the dreads and fears in our mind, we create this host of imaginary dangers because the light in our eyes is dimmed and we cannot see clearly. The dark months of the year doomed the ancients to dreads and fears far more than we could experience today because they didn't have electric lights in which to combat the darkness. We can simply switch on a light. They only had at best primitive lamps and wicks, hard to light, and frequently they didn't stay lit. Though the wise men and priesthood of the ancients frequently knew full well that the fight between light and darkness was but a legend to describe the solar cycle, their congregations either did not know it or they soon forgot it because they were superstitious by nature. One of our human frailties is superstition. What remained with them was the memory of evil angels and an infernal hierarchy over which presided the archdemon, supposedly opposed to God and good. The idea of good and bad angels was dramatic, so it was remembered long after the truth it was meant to illustrate had been forgotten. Ancient priesthoods found that their congregations could easily be ruled by fear of evil powers, and they made use of this fear, and they withheld their knowledge from the common people in order to control them. They argued that since humans have weaknesses, so must angels. This reduction of the angelic to the human level underlies the grimoires and myths of black magic and dealings of evil forces. These people reversed the virtues of the angels into vices and created demonic names, usually by borrowing names of gods from other cultures and thus demonizing them. Planetary effects have higher and lower sides, depending on the individual's nature and response to the impulses represented by these planets. Angelic virtues are simply the higher planetary vibrations that benefit humanity. Infernal vices, or so-called demons, are the planet's lower impulses that align with human weaknesses, leading to our downfall and demise. Your own demons of despair, darkness, force, destruction reside within you. The angels and their rituals help you to rise above these, to peel the husks away so that you can consume the angelic fruits underneath them. Understanding that the infernal hierarchy is merely a poetic concept, you do not need special demonic sigils or circles to summon your own vices or weaknesses, which are what the demons are. If you can't overcome your weaknesses, you cannot command your inner demons. The blind force that destroys is simply letting wrong desires and impulses destroy you. Passions can be demonic, like those passions for gold, lust, power, sex, ambition, and undeserved possessions. These can become demons. We all face demons, both large and small. Mostly, we are the architects of our own downfall. Exceptions exist, of course, but generally, we create demons that destroy us. When ruled by our lower selves, passions, and vices, we commit the so-called black magic against ourselves, thus trafficking in demons. Evil is contagious. It spreads. A bad influence that corrupts you will then corrupt others. Misery loves company. The concept of angel versus demon can be useful, as the infernal hierarchy can be symbolic of reversing angelic virtues, and naming these reversals as demons can help us to overcome them. Thus, the angelic and the infernal are in a constant battle within our own minds. Each of us have our own inner demons leading to self-indulgence, which can ultimately destroy our goals and parts of ourselves. Instead of worrying, being afraid, etc., we can call upon the angel that governs that planetary sphere that we're having trouble with. We're going to go through demons and Qlippoth for each of our spheres. I'm going to give you the demons by name as they were given to me. But it's important to recognize that we aren't working with demons here in the same way that many others do who work with, say, the Goetia. We're not evoking them, calling upon them, and asking them to do things for us. We're not calling upon them as intelligent personalities. We are recognizing them as parts of our own self that are lower expressions of planetary forces. We are using these ancient demonic names as a way to identify these things and then call upon the angelic name in order to peel that fruit and get the shell off of it. We're not dealing with these demons as spirits that we're calling to talk to and work with. We are recognizing them as what they are, shells within ourselves that we must break through in order to consume the holy fruits that the angels are offering us. Some of these demons are hard nuts to crack. For Gabrielle, the moon, also called Shekinah and the Holy Mother of the world, represents the female, nurturing and creative principle. She's the Creator's force field, or the dwelling place of God, the light of good powers, the mother and ruler of tides. She's an inspirational force and also the gateway to all magic. The demonic force that is the shell surrounding this sphere is called Ardat-Lilî, also known as the dark moon or absorbed light, the mother of monsters, imps, demons, embodying the female destructive power. When we say female destructive power, we're talking about the female principle that exists within each and every person. Ardat-Lilî represents the force field of evil powers, the mother of storms and destructive sea forces, inspiring dreadful visions and writings, the cause of madness and delusions. Anytime we have delusions, anytime we have a feeling like we are in constant bad luck or jinxes, that is the demon Ardat-Lilî. Mercury, ruled by Raphael, is the recorder, the healer, the teacher, the messenger of the heavens and the angelic host. Raphael is known for teaching the written and spoken word as the Lord of the winds, the angel of medicine and all healing, all knowledge, physical and mental. In order to get to Raphael's fruit, we must crack the shell. The demonic force is called Astoroth. Astoroth knows and teaches past and future events in order to mislead. Astoroth is the lord of mistranslations and speech, writings calculated to mislead, lie, or cause evil. Astoroth is the messenger of the infernal hierarchy, the messenger of demons, the cause of evil odors, and the carrier of all contagions. For Venus, Aniel is the archangel. Aniel is the angel of love, both divine and earthly, the angel that inspires art and beauty in all forms to be used creatively. She ensures the continuance of humanity on earth, representing divine love, gentleness, harmony, truth, tenderness, compassion. The demonic shell to this sphere is called Baal, which is unfair ultimately because Baal was also a deity. But you know how that is. The writers of a lot of these infernal hierarchies just superimpose demonic powers onto other cultures' gods. Baal is the lord of lust, panic, and baseless fears. Baal is the demon embodying false and deceptive love, unrequited love, obsessive love. Baal uses beauty and art to destroy and to seduce. He governs all decadent art forms and degrading desires. Baal is cruel and merciless. Baal pushes people to ruin their lives through sexual union and emotional lusts. How many times have you heard people destroying themselves because they've, quote, fallen in love with someone and become obsessed with them? For the sun, Mikael is the archangel. Mikael rules creativity, kingly pride, loyalty. Mikael is the protector, the savior, known as the Lord of the hosts of heaven and the trusted archangel of God. Mikael is the protector of the tree of life, the defender of heaven and earth. Mikael brings safety. Luciphage is darkness and destruction, vanity, treachery, temptation. Rocofale is the devil opposing God. The whole idea of the devil opposing God is this. Next, we move to Samael, angel of Mars, the divine warrior, the warrior against all injustice, executing vengeance through God's will, embodying courage, energy, enthusiasm, vitality, virility. Samael protects the weak and fights for that which is right. Some things are worth fighting for, and Samael understands that. Samael has the ability to wage war in a way that everyone ends up winning. This is something that humans are not capable of understanding or doing. And that's why Samael is the angel that we call upon when we are having any experience of warfare. Samael also governs surgery. Samael and Raphael work together quite frequently in healing because Samael's the surgeon, whereas Raphael is the ruler of medicine. The shell that must be cracked in order to consume the fruits of Samael is known as Asmodeus, the instigator of conflict, the bringer of violent death, war, murder, pillage, rage, revenge. Fire-related harm, arson, forcefulness, brutality, bullies, relentless and inherently destructive forces. Destruction for its own sake. Samael destroys that which needs to be destroyed in order that life is served, but Asmodeus doesn't do that. Asmodeus is destruction for its own sake. Sakiel is the archangel of Jupiter, and thus the angel of law, heavenly law and earthly law. Sakiel also grants wealth and all good things, prosperity, and mercy. Sakiel inspires and helps in making powerful friends, favors judges and influential people. Sakiel rules all benevolence and teaches wisdom, wealth, knowledge, and mercy. The shell that must be cracked to get to that fruit is Belphegor. Belphegor is sometimes also known as Ouroboros. Belphegor distorts the laws of both heaven and earth, leading to miscarriages of justice. Belphegor turns helpers and friends against each other and causes the misuse of wealth and power. Belphegor governs the lust for power and the lust for money for its own sake, encouraging boastfulness and grandiosity. This demon betrays through comfort and luxury, achieved by promoting falseness, especially false doctrines. This would be where all the televangelists who don't really care about their followers but want them to send them money would be governed. Saturn's angel is Kossiel. Kossiel is the angel of wisdom, stability, overseeing lasting property and enduring structures. Kossiel rules righteous structures, the guardian of that which is ancient, the guardian of true and holy traditions. Kossiel releases individuals from life's bonds when the time is right and acts as the great teacher through experience and the ultimate bringer of rewards. Kossiel represents the womb of the Divine Mother Goddess, the Holy Spirit, and we come to this sphere after we've been carried across the abyss. The demon that is the shell we must crack is frequently known as Beelzebub. Sometimes people refer to this demon as Behemoth. Beelzebub teaches tricks and finesse. Beelzebub appears as a false friend in the guise of an advisor. Beelzebub takes away that which has been earned, destroys that which has been built. Beelzebub is cold, terrible, strong, induces foolishness instead of wisdom, confusion instead of understanding. Beelzebub oppresses and makes the mind dark and hopeless, brings long drawn-out ordeals. It can be a terrifying experience getting through the husk associated with Bina on this third sphere. In addition to these 7 traditional planets, we have the outer planets. Uriel, who rules Uranus, is the throne angel of God and the angel of the 11th hour miracles. Uriel rules the lightning bolt of the Tree of Life itself, as well as the hidden sphere of Da'at. Uriel is known as the reformer. He replaces outdated concepts and items with improved modern alternatives. As the Lord of Separation, Uriel guides and removes anything that is no longer relevant or needed. The demonic presence of Uranus is called Alestor, who is the ultimate enforcer of hellish punishments. Alestor commands thunder and fire to unleash swift disasters and unexpected turns of fate. Alestor obliterates both physical and emotional aspects in an instant, leaving chaos and turmoil in his wake. Asariel, also known as Raphael, the archangel of Neptune, is frequently believed to exist on the second sphere. Raphael is the bringer of dreams and visions, inspires and heightens sensitivity. He offers unique gifts with both spiritual and practical significance, providing tools to foster spiritual development and achieve material success. The demonic presence of Neptune is called Azazel. Azazel, not to be confused with Azrael, is the harbinger of infernal powers and the master of deception. He is known for crafting illusions and delusions. He is the ultimate deceiver, guides humanity into emotional traps, false convictions, and misguided passions that inevitably result in downfall. In my particular tradition, Pluto is seen as an asteroid that got pulled into the gravitational orbit of our solar system and did not come directly from our sun. It's not that Pluto doesn't have influence, but is not recognized as one of the angels of our solar system. Archangel Metatron rules Kether, and there is no demonic counterpart or shell for Kether. Mikael stands opposed to Rocofale. You can seek protection from everything that Rocofale represents, both in yourself and from other people who exhibit these flaws. Invoke Mikael on Sunday. A simple whispered request, "Mikael, protect me," is all that it takes. The same approach applies to all the other angels. Invoke Gabrielle on Monday to guard against Ardat-Lilî. Call upon Samael on Tuesday to resist Asmodeus. Seek Raphael on Wednesday to counter Astoroth's mischief. Turn to Sakiel on Thursday for protection from Belphegor. Invoke Aniel on Friday to shield against Baal. Call on Kossiel on Saturday to defend against Beelzebub. Ask Uriel on Saturday to safeguard against Alestor and his disruptions. For strength and protection against Azazel, invoke Asariel on any day, although Mondays and Wednesdays are particularly effective. You can call on these angels on any day of the week if necessary. Calling on these angels reinforces your moral and psychic strength. It helps you to resist temptations, both self-induced and those from others. This practice reminds you of these vulnerabilities, making it much easier for you to overcome them. We all battle inner demons or weaker parts of ourselves. Now we know that we don't have to succumb to these demons. We can overcome them and triumph. We deal with them in order as we're climbing the serpent path, but these things will also just come up for us organically. And when they come up for us, we can recognize them for what they are, husks, and we can simply call upon their angelic counterpart to break through these husks. These husks are always hiding a reward. Whatever demon we're dealing with is literally hiding a reward. You can almost get to the point where you're excited when some negative part of you comes up to your conscious mind because you get to say, "Oh, good, I get to eat some fruit of the tree of knowledge that's going to help me. Once I peel this fruit, I get to consume it. There are many different types of magic that you can use to go through these husks and peels, but the easiest and most direct way is to simply call upon the angel for help. Another way that you can work through some of these husks is with the angelic signatures, and you can read my booklet on the angelic signatures to learn more about this. When you're pathworking, understand that you're going through the husks of 2 spheres at once. Every path connects one sphere to another, so you have to peel the fruit from the sphere of origin to travel to the next sphere where you get to peel that fruit as well. And you can see also that each sphere has several paths connected to it. So by the time you're done with the last path on each sphere, the shells associated with that sphere are probably almost completely gone for you. Remember that each time you finish going through the paths of the tree, you just go through it again. So there's plenty of opportunity to peel away all of the husks of the Qlippoth and get to the fruits on the tree. This is our understanding of the Qlippoth. We deal with the Qlippoth as being parts of our own inner nature that are out of balance and must be rebalanced. This is symbolized by peeling away the husks. We use angelic energies to accomplish this. All of the different exercises and techniques that we use in doing our pathworking serve to rid us of the shells, husks, and weaknesses that tie us to our ego and illusions of this world. Once we're free from these illusions, the world itself starts to change for us. And that's when we ultimately awaken and realize that we live in a very different world than what we thought it was. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Until next time, blessed be.